Town Hall 15 has brought a whole new meta to the game. The game is nowhere near the same as it was at Town Hall 14. So the real question is, what is the meta? In this video today, I'm going to show you guys the top 5 armies at the moment in Legends League. At number 5, we have SBowler Smash. Now, SBowler Smash was already strong at Town Hall 14, and it stayed just as strong at Town Hall 15. And the biggest reason is the extra 20 troop space. So, in my opinion, the best combination of your main army to bring is 1 Golem and the 4 SBowlers. The Golem's nice because it tanks a lot, but the benefit the Golem has over an Ice Golem is the Golem will get targeted by the Eagle more often than not, whereas if you place an Ice Golem, the Eagle won't target it and will often go after your SBowlers, and your SBowlers obviously very weak, so the Golem is a nice addition. But if you did this at Town Hall 14 with 300 troop space, you really wouldn't have a lot of extra space for Balloons, Witches, Wizards, and Super Wall Breakers. But the 320 troop space allows you to bring plenty of all of them, and I'm really liking this army comp I've got here at the moment. Now, all the army comps from today will be in the links down below. But essentially, what you do with SBowler Smash, what you do, particularly on rings, essentially, SBowler Smash is all about the funnel. The SBowlers are so strong if you can keep a nice, narrow part of the base, because they just kind of roll across it, because SBowlers' biggest weakness is their AI. They path really weirdly, so you need to set a really strong funnel. That's why I'm bringing the Witches in this army comp with the King on the flank, because they need to clear out a lot. So I'm starting with a Warden Walk at the bottom here. Now, the reason I picked this area of the base is because it's kind of a nice area to Warden Walk. You always kind of on these ring bases, the simplest way is to kind of Warden Walk one corner. I'll actually zoom out for you all. So it's to Warden Walk one corner. As you can tell, I use the Rage. Flame Flinger or King and Siege Barracks the other side, and SBowlers straight down the middle, and if your pathing you set up is good, the SBowlers will go straight into the core. So all I want is this air bow here. Now, the reason I picked this corner, is because I don't really want to Warden Walk near defensive heroes. Like, up here, it just wouldn't be fun. So we come in like this. Now, as soon as the Warden's got everything, we pull them across. Now, I've used the Siege Barracks here. If you don't use the Flinger, the Siege Barracks is the best, because SBowler Smash, everything's kind of going to die in the Town Hall, but if you have a bunch of Peckers, Wizards, and your Witches still up clearing the outside of the base at the end, they will kind of roll over what's left, particularly on these rings. So look at that. The Eagle targets the Golem straight away. I haven't put down the SBowlers yet, because I'm just waiting for the Witches to set the funnel perfectly, because look, this cannon will go down on the flank, and the SBowlers are going to go in perfectly. I've got the King on the outside of the base up the top. I pop his ability early to deal with the CC, and the SBowlers are coming in. That Golem is still doing elite tanking, and look at this, we've got a healer switch here. We pop the Warden nice and early. This is important with SBowler Smash. You cannot pop this Warden ability too late, because the SBowlers die so fast in the core. So it's okay to pop it before you get the Town Hall down, because watch how much work they're going to get done here. Plus the healers will get on them, and you're just going to get some insane chains throughout the base. I've still got so many SBowlers up. My Queen's still up as well. She's chilling on the bottom side. We put another Rage. The Rage spells when you're in the core of the base should be more for your healers than the SBowlers. The SBowlers do plenty of damage, but the defenses on the base do more damage than just normal healers can withstand. So you need to make sure those healers are raged, and look at how wrecked this is. I've got the RC coming on the top side with the King. We're actually finishing on the Eagle here, but it doesn't really matter. Now, these Yetis here have come out of my Siege Barracks. I do bring 2 Yetis, a Rocket Balloon, and 2 Sneakies. That is the best CC for this army. And look at how wrecked this is. Now, have a look at the pet combo as well. This is absolutely the best pet combo. That Diggy is insane. And I didn't even talk about the Frosty with the Warden Walk, but if you're doing Warden Walks a lot, the Frosty is so handy. His Frostmites pull Teslas, and they can slow down damage on your Warden Walk, and maybe you won't need a Rage, but we've wrecked that ring base. Let's get into number 4. At number 4, we have Mass E-Dragons. E-Drags obviously got an upgrade at Town Hall 15, and they are still really strong. One of your best armies to go to if you enjoy using air attacks. Now, E-Dragons, kind of the same as SBowler Smash. So we saw in the SBowler Smash replay there that the Siege Barracks, Wizard, Witches, King, like all your outside troops are kind of used to clean up the base, whereas your main push, which is the SBowlers, just has to get through the core. You don't actually need to get through the back end, and you're going to see that here, because Julian, very good with E-Drags. He's actually using the Flame Flinger a lot. Now, I know a lot of you are probably used to Blimp in the Town Hall, but if you watch iPro's video a couple of days ago on Queen Charge Lalo, I'll link it above me, you'll see Blimp in the Town Hall on rings is really tough, and it'll cost you spells. So you're better off with your Siege Machine using a Flame Flinger, and here he's going to use the Flame Flinger to essentially clear this entire side, right? But then also the troops will come out at the end and clear up whatever is left. Rather than if you invest everything into the core of this base, right, including your Blimp, then what's going to take out the outside defenses? Because 9 times out of 10, your army is dying in the core. Because look at how many defenses are in the core of this base. It is super tough. Now, another thing to notice, as we're going to start the replay here, is the angle he comes from. One of your biggest threats for E-Dragon attacks is the defensive CC. Because if there's a Hound in there, you don't want to pull it at all. You really want your E-Dragons to take down that defensive CC so that your heroes do not pull the CC, because your heroes are the other real troop aside from your Flame Flinger that's going to clear up the back end of these bases, and you don't want them fighting a CC, particularly if they're under like damage from an Expo. Now look at this base, by the way, it is basically maxed, so we're going to see how powerful E-Dragons really are. Flame Flinger's doing his thing, and once Julian's happy with the funnel set, the E-Dragons should come in shortly. I think he'll wait for the Flame Flinger to get this last Archer Tower down. Now, the last thing I want you to look at during this attack is the freeze spells he uses. They are perfect. Now, he starts with his Queen on the top side. I'm actually going to pause this. I want you... There's going to be a lot to watch here because it's all going to happen very quickly. But he's actually not going to deploy his Barb King until this CC's down. Because if he deploys the Barb King now, yes, it tanks for the Queen, and that's really nice. But the Barb King's just going to go in and pull this CC. And we don't want that at all, as we talked about before. So you kind of need to be aware of the CC. And he's actually going to pop his Queen ability before the King comes out. Now, there isn't actually a Hound CC. So if he recognized this... Probably could have started your King now, but just habit, I guess. So he freezes the Sweeper and the single. Obviously, the Sweeper is detrimental. Freezes the Queen and the multi. And here we are. We've got it into the core. Also notice that he popped the Warden ability super early. That's what you should do with E-Drags every single time. And we're actually out of freezes at this point. But look at the change through the base. It's simply ridiculous. It's simply ridiculous, the change through the base here. And we're just going to get the Eagle down here. Yep. And look at that. The entire core's gone. Now, the E-Drags don't live through the core, but it's the heroes and the Flame Flinger that their job is to clean up the back end, and we're going to see them do it here. Now, we've already used the Queen and the RC ability, so the RC's actually not going to get through the rest of the base, but look at the Flame Flinger. It is still just chilling. RC gets this air defense down, and we know in the Flame Flinger is air troops, and yeah, there is going to be nothing left for it. Look at the troops come out here. It's an interesting comp he's bringing. A bunch of balloons and 2 Inferno Drags. Or is it 1 Inferno Drag? I genuinely can't tell. Maybe we'll see here. Yeah, a bunch of Loons and 1 Inferno Drag. Used to be a lot more popular at Town Hall 14, but there you go. There is E-Dragons. So what are the biggest takeaways? Watch where the CC is, right? Because you need to kill that with your E-Drags. Freeze Sweepers. Try and use the Flame Flinger as much as you can. And have your heroes clear up the back end of the base. At number 3, we have Blizzard Titans. This army surprised me. I actually didn't think the Titans would be too good in any army at Town Hall 15. But the benefit of the Titans is have a look at his spell comp, right? No poison spell. You do not need a poison spell. You'll see why in a second. But also, we're using so many spells. As you can tell, we're going to use these Invis and these Rage all on the Blizzard. The Titans won't have much spells for the back end, but they don't need many. The Titans are actually extremely resilient, and the spells really don't help them out a lot. One other thing to look at with this army comp, he's actually bringing an insane number of wall breakers, given he's bringing a jump as well. The biggest reason for that is Titans suck at beating through walls. You look at other Smash attacks, even Super Bowlers, right, can shoot a wall and damage troops behind it. Peckers obviously go straight through walls like they're nothing. Same with the King. but Titans really struggle getting through the walls. So bringing all these wall breakers to keep on pushing them through the base is extremely important. Only really use that jump if absolutely necessary. So we'll start the attack here. This is a very common base. It is a good base for the Blizzard, but it's actually not a great base for the Titans, which is why I wanted to show this. Nice Cocoa Balloon. We have the Blimp open. Waiting for all the Gobs to come out, because the kind of CC comp you're seeing with Blizzards at the moment is 10 Gobs and 4 Super Wizards. So you don't need to use that first invis immediately. Wait for the Gobs to do all the tanking, and then once the Super Wizard's about to come out, start. So look at this. We're pulling the CC out. We do not have a poison spell, so what do? We drop a Titan in front, and look at this. Our Queen loses a bit of health because the Headhunters are really quick, but she's going to gain that all back, and watch this Hound go poof. It's quite simply ridiculous. I will never get sick of that. So we have the entry coming in here. Another thing to notice with this army is that the Titans will almost always tank the Eagle. Your Queen's rarely going to get hit by it. Now we have our King in there as well. Notice he used the Baby Drake and the Sneaky Gobs to funnel these Titans in, because you don't really want them on the outside of the base. And we're going to come in with an early Warden Pop, I believe. Yep, there it is, to negate the Eagle shots. But, you know, you don't have that many Titans. You can't afford them to die. And because you don't have many Rages for your healers, like, the Titans aren't going to come back to life easily. So you do need to use that Warden ability early. Unfortunately, our Queen's split off, but nice invis on her. The Rage in the core, look at how much value the healers are getting. Fortunately, our Queen ability is wasted on a wall. We've still got our King ability up on the back end. The RC came in on the top side. I think she went straight through the Monolith because he brings a Skelly. The Skelly is really handy with this army comp. And Skelly's just handy in every comp you bring at the moment to tank the Monolith. And look at this. We still have so much up. Our Queen's about to go down. Rage Tower is quite OP, but we've got an RC ability, and I believe there's 3 Titans up on the base here. There might just be 2. But yeah, look at how bad Titans are at going through walls. I don't think that Titan will get through the wall before the end of this battle. In fact, it won't. We leave the defensive King up. No worry about him. But yeah, the Titans are quite resilient. Like, there was a lot of damage left on that base. Yes, the Blizzard was good, but it was the power of the Titans that really secured that triple. At number 2, we have Super Clone Hydra. Now, what do I mean by Super Clone? Essentially, this Blimp is going to take out the whole base, and generally in the Super Clone, you'll see a mixture of Super Archers and Super Wizards. Now, if it was just Super Archers, I'd call it Super Archer Clone, but I kind of call it Super Clone when it's a mixture, like I said, of the Super Wizards and Super Archers, and bringing 1 clone spell. I think 1 clone spell is the best. I see some people bring 2, but then you're left with no spells for your Hydra, and generally your Hydra needs at least 1 Rage and 1 Freeze. So this is definitely the best spell comp that I've seen out there. But why is this army so good? Because bases are so compact at the moment. There are so many compact bases, it's quite simply ridiculous. So what do? You use, generally, your Warden ability, clone the Blimp, get it into the core of the base, and watch the madness unfold. And I think this attack is going to be a great sign of it. So we have an E-Drag up the top to funnel, Queen on the right, and we're just going to go straight in between them. We're not fighting a sweeper here, so this is really handy. So, setting our funnel, there comes the Dragons. Notice the order he deploys his troops. That's what you should do. Dragons, Loons, Icehound, Dragon Riders, Blimp. I really like the Icehound in this comp, by the way. You've got that extra troop space at Town Hall 15. Use it. There's the Rage for his Hydra. That's going to help it clear out kind of the core of the base, but watch this Blimp. So, we deliberately don't get it over the wall because we don't need it. Rage and the clone. We actually clone up some Goblins. He didn't do a very job at getting the Goblins to die. Generally, you need those Goblins to die, because otherwise, obviously, yeah, you're in a bit of trouble. But yeah, look at that. The core of the base is gone. What is this defender meant to do? The clone with 5 invis is just far too much. Our Queen's in a really nice area of the base. She's still got her ability. Our King's still got his ability. And we've got the RC on the top side. And it's safe to say that this base is a wrap at this point. Bringing a Headhunter is actually really nice with this army. Because if your heroes are fighting heroes on the back end, you might need that Headhunter. Obviously, we didn't need it here. Swagger Freeze. It is very hard to swag spells with this army because you literally use all of them on maximizing your Blimp, and that takes out the whole base, and the rest is just child's play. But now, I'm sure you figured out which army's at number 1. Let's see how it goes. Number 1, I'm sure you figured it out, is Blizzard Lalo. Blizzard Lalo's just... It's always been a good army, but I think it got even stronger at Town Hall 15, and it's because of the base styles. A lot of people are trying to put as much damage as compact as possible, because there's so much damage at Town Hall 15, and against some attacks, you can kind of overwhelm their army with mass damage concentrated, but obviously Blizzard's really good against that. And the other thing about Blizzard is the spell towers don't seem to do as much to them as you see with other army comps. By the way, a few things to note. One, the pets. I would bring the Yak with the King, and I would bring Diggy with the RC, but it's interesting to see Rakira's trying something new. And the 5 Invis, I actually think this is better than what Stars brings with 4 Invis, because you're going to see why in a second. It allows Rakira's to do some creative tricks. Look at this. This is so smart. He's made that air defense invisible, so the Hound's going to go over here. Oh, that's not the greatest straight line, but it's going to go over here, and if there's any sands in this area, he is going to pull them. And you're going to see why that's important in a second. Because look at this Blimp. If he just sent the Hound to the air defense without the invis, and there's Sams over here, there's no way his Blimp makes it in. But now, he gets the Blimp into the core of the base without using a Warden ability. And if you can do that at Town Hall 15, you're going to get a triple almost all the time on ring bases. Now, I want you to watch what he does versus this invis tower. It's so smart. So he's put the invis down. Notice how he hasn't put the rage down. He puts it down there. The invis activates, but that's fine because he's got other targets for his super wizards to go after. He's got the expo and the gold storage, and now they go back to this town hall, and this base is in so much trouble. It'd be nice if we could get the single down, maybe. But we've obviously already used all our freezes. That's all our invis, sorry. That's why I like bringing 5 invis as well, by the way. You can invis for your Hound, and if the invis defense does work, you can still counter it. And I mean, look at the part of the base that's gone without a Warden ability. And you're going to see why it's important he didn't use the Warden with that entry in a bit. So, we have the Ice Golem. Ice Golem is an absolute must in this army. Let's see what this Frosty does. Not really doing a whole lot at the moment, I'm not going to lie. These Frostmites are handy though. These Frostmites are very handy because they can kind of seek out Teslas. Now that is not a rage of our own, obviously. That is the Rage Town. We freeze that scatter immediately. RC coming in here. Now if you're using your RC a lot with the Sui hero, then the Phoenix might make sense. I'm not convinced, but we'll see. Starting his Lalo straight over the top of his Sui. He's just trying to overwhelm the base at this point. And you can tell he does that because this replay's got 50 seconds to go. Lalo coming across. It's just looking so good at the moment. Headhunter comes in here for the RC, but she was always going to go down anyway. Hound pulls a bunch of red bombs in the core. We still have a back-end monolith, but the bad thing about a monolith, it can kind of get overwhelmed by balloons. Now, unfortunately, it locks onto our RC here, so we pop the Warden ability. And I think we would have tripled it if we didn't have the Warden ability. But I think it would have been a whole lot closer, whereas this ends up being quite overkill. I think it would have been quite close versus that monolith at the end, but now we can kind of just overwhelm the base. It's probably a triple without the Warden ability, but it's even more wrecked that we had it with the Lalo. But yeah, Blizzard Lalo, super flexible, and I will say, the one thing that Blizzard Lalo's got over every other army I showed you today, it's good on every style of base. Obviously, I showed a ring here, but I could have showed you any style of base, and Blizzard Lalo is viable, whereas you see some of the armies we talked about earlier have specific weak points in terms of bases to go against. Nicely done from Rakira's here, but the real question is, what did you guys think of my top 5? Do you agree? Or, let me know down below what your top 5 is. I'd actually be really interested to hear what you all think. Did I leave something out, or did I just get the order wrong? But that's it from me. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. Maybe I'll see you soon.